When it comes to the world of the ubiquitous, or if you want to use a slightly meaner term, vanilla family sedan, it doesn't get much more ubiquitous or vanilla than the Toyota Camry. These things are everywhere. Your grandmother had one, maybe your cousin had one, the taxi cab you just got out of, that was probably a Camry as well, or a Prius, I guess. I remember growing up, there was two sisters lived down the lane from us, and they had a new Camry every time a new generation came out. So there was always two Camrys in their parkade, one from the current generation, one from the previous generation. And I know this because of all the time I spent searching for tennis balls under there in my ball hockey days. You know, the Camry was always, always seen finished in like a champagne or like an off gold or a gray. The seats were couch-like, and so was the ride. You know, it was just your basic garden variety sedan. But for 2020, Toyota has turned to its TRD team to kind of help the Camry change out of its beige shirt and its brown hat. Switch for something more interesting. Something a little brighter, like this red St. Louis Cardinals hat and this t-shirt dedicated to one of the most famous racing Toyotas of all time, the Celica GT4 rally car. For 2020, Toyota has given us the big daddy of their family sedan. And this is definitely not your grandmother's Camry. Yes, indeedy. I am in the 2020 Toyota Camry, and I can't believe I'm saying this, TRD edition. T Toyota, R Racing, D Development. Never thought I'd see the day, but then the TRD nameplate's been kind of making its way through the Toyota lineup as of late. We've had the trucks for a while, the Tacoma and Tundra pickups, the 4Runner SUV, we have the Sequoia TRD, there's now a RAV4 TRD, there's a TRD version of the 8.6 sports car. So why not do a Camry? Why not? All we gotta do now is the Corolla and the Prius, and they'll have pretty much the whole lineup covered, but then again, stranger things. In fact, I think they're even maybe doing a TRD Sienna when the new one comes out. I'm not sure, I'll double check that, but I think they might be. So there you go, TRD, all the things. Anyway, but those maniacs down at TRD have not just given the Camry a bunch of window dressing, although they have done that quite brightly, as we'll see more in depth in this video right here. They've given spoilers and some other kind of stuff which you'll see there, but they've done a lot to the chassis. But before we go any further, they've done very little to the powertrain. The V6 is the same as it is in the XSE V6, which is what the
the TRD kind of starts life as a trim. It's an option package for that trim. So 301 horsepower and 276 pound-feet of torque, fed to the front wheels only. You cannot get the TRD in all-wheel drive like you can some other Camrys. Front wheels only via an 8-speed automatic transmission with paddle shifters. No CVT here, which is great. I like to be able to switch my own gears with the paddle shifters, which is nice, but that hasn't been changed at all. What they have done is given the TRD a cat-back exhaust, which doesn't add any power, but that's some pretty good noise, and you'll hear more of that noise in the B-Road Blast video I have coming up after this. But they've really done a lot to this chassis. They've lowered it by about 13 millimeters. They've firmed up the stabilizer bars, both front and rear. They have given both the dampers and coil springs are both a little bit firmer. Those are TRD special dampers. There is a rear underbody diffuser, bigger brakes up front with 2 piston calipers, used to be 1 piston, and you've got special 19-inch wheels and special rubber as well. So they've really gone all out in the handling. And out here on the open road, it feels nice and planted. It's quiet. It's because it's still a slippery shape. I don't have the usual kind of wind noise over the wing mirror here, which is nice, but it's planted. I go through a turn here. Not a lot of body roll. It drives well, and it's still, you know, it's still a Camry, so it has to drive properly. It doesn't need to drive like a couch like we talked about in the intro, but it definitely doesn't drive like a couch. I've got these TRD specific seats are actually a little bit firm on the bottom cushion, which there's a little more cushioning there actually. So there's that. But on this open road here, it's fun enough that I'm looking forward to seeing what it's to be like on that B road. You do lose some things for the TRD, which, by the way, the TRD actually costs less than does the XSE V6 Camry. And it costs less because it's about $5,000 less, and you are losing some things. You don't have a wireless charger, no heads-up display, no blind spot system. You don't have a moonroof either. Then again, though, no moonroof, no all-wheel drive does save weight, and weight savings were a big part of this TRD kind of conversion. So, plus, I don't think the moonroof's ever going to be quite as stiff as a regular steel roof would be. So you got more chassis fidelity, I think, without the moonroof as well. So, and a lower center of gravity as a result. So you lose those things, but you pay less money, and you still get kind of a sportier, fun version of the Camry, which is not bad in my book. That's not a bad sacrifice to make in my book, especially when you're paying less money. You still have features. I've still got cruise control. I've got dual zone climate control, heated seats to 3 ways. I've got lane keep assist system, which will actually steer you back online. You can turn that off just by hitting this button here, which I rather like. Adaptive cruise too. So we still got features. Yes, the native infotainment display for Toyota isn't that great to look at, but it's got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto now, and I'm using Apple CarPlay, and it's quite nice. It's very quick to react, very smooth. It's loading all my Google Play playlists. Well, that's not always the case when it comes to that app. So the infotainment system is fine. You get sunglasses holder, nice center console storage, and USB. So pretty good features, even though you do sacrifice a few things. On to the B road. So let's see what the madmen and women down at the TRD skunkworks have done for the Camry. This is the kind of road where the TRD is supposed to excel. As we said before, there's no more power here than there is in the standard XSE V6. Transmission tuning is the same as well, so it's all about that chassis. And I gotta say, it's pretty good now. Body roll is reduced to a modicum, I would say. Turn-in is good once you get through a bit of a dead zone. You want a bit of a dead zone because on the highway you don't want to be constantly adjusting your steering. But this is a fun car to drive on this B road here. The transmission, by the way, does take over. It doesn't leave you in manual mode. It feels like you have to shift. It does it for you. So I'm not a true kind of manumatic then. But there's me shifting up the gears. Eventually it goes. There it goes. So yeah, this is good. Here's another nice tune. Tracks true. It's got a wide car, good grip, good turn-in, responsive front end, rotates well through turns, and listen to that sound. That's a good sounding car, actually. That's a good sounding car. So good on, the folks at TRD and Toyota for getting the Camry to work in this kind of circumstance. So all that TRD trickery or no, it's still a Camry, which means pretty good front seat. You want to have room up here. That's what people who are buying Camrys are often looking for. So you've got good leg room, good knee room too. And the footwell's nice and wide. Good headroom. I can look up. I think my bill in the headliner, which is good. We'll check that out in the back seat as well. Nice reach to the wheel, which tilts and telescopes manually. There you go. paddle shifter, shift lever here. Everything's, you know, easily falls to hand. Big storage bin right here. But the TRD does add some things. It's really cool red kind of leather slash kind of like a softer touch material seats here. TRD logos on the headrest. It's really cool red seat belts. TRD shift knob. Red gauges here, red on black contrast stitching. So the TRD-ness, if you will, of the Camry extends from the chassis to the interior as well. So, like the front seat of the Camry, it's pretty roomy back here. I've got good headroom, like in the front. I can look up and not hit the bill of my hat against the headliner, which is nice. My knees aren't jammed up against the seat backs, even though this is fit for a taller driver myself. Got good leg room, good shoulder and hip room too. All that's great. Not a lot in the way of creature comforts back here though. On the back of the center console here, all I've got is a couple of vents. There's no USB ports, no heated rear seats. It's plastic up here, plastic down here. I don't even have a center mounted armrest, which means I don't have center mounted cup holders either. I do have door cup holders, but those are kind of hit and miss with regards to the size of the drink container you could put there. But at least I still have these great red seat belts and the red stitching. Right. The lack of a folding rear seat. The TRD being kind of the performance version of the Camry means it had to do some things to kind of stiffen up the chassis, as we talked about before. One of the things they have done is put a V-brace on the rear end, and that V-brace has prevented them from being able to install folding rear seat backs. That means the seat backs don't fold, means there's no pass-through door here, and there's no fold-down armrest either, which is too bad. So it's kind of hard to, you know, pack longer items, and that's something you're going to want to keep in mind when considering the TRD. You know, all that being said, there's a lot to like about this car. That was a lot of fun on the B road back there. That was great. I remember in the Hangover Part 2 where they go to Thailand, there's a car chase in that movie, and when I saw it, I guess it was in 07 or whatever it was, me, even the car guy that I was at the time, I could not identify the hero car being driven by the gangster Mr. Chow, played by the hilarious Ken Jeong. I couldn't identify the car. It looked something like a Toyota, or a Toyota Camry rather, but it wasn't, because it was the Thai market Camry, which looks more like the Japanese market Auris, which changes the same body style, shares the same kind of platform thing as the Camry, but changes the front and rear end look, rear faces rather, so I couldn't tell what it was. But maybe Mr. Chow should have had this car here. Would have made a much better getaway car, right for the factory too, so you know it's well done, instead of just a tuner kit like would look like he had in that movie. So maybe that would have been the one for him. But all that being said, though, I still have to kind of question the existence here of the TRD Camry. I mean, I'm not exactly sure who it's aimed at. I mean, it's sort of a sports sedan, but since they haven't really changed the power at all, it isn't fully. Yeah, I guess the tuner culture might like it, maybe upgrade from a Civic to maybe something like this. But, you know, the Honda Accord has a turbo motor in it. This doesn't have that. They haven't done a lot for the powertrain. It sounds good, looks cool, handles really, really well, but I don't really get it. And the timing's also a bit weird too, now that the Camry is no longer Toyota's NASCAR. They've gone to the Supra for that, even though it looks so little like the Supra, but whatever, that's a story for another day. So I'm not exactly sure where it's actually aimed at. Not to say it's bad, I mean, it's a lot of fun, I like it. But, you know, the Camry is such a mass market car. But yet again, you know the TRD will be a very small amount of the sales pool for sure. And I guess it gives some people that were hoping for the reliability, the size, and the kind of peace of mind you get by getting a Camry, something a little bit more fun. You get all that with the TRD version, and you get to just say you're driving a TRD Camry, which is just bonkers to say. And the novelty there is not, I don't think it's going to be so quick to wear off. I'm still enjoying it. I've had it for a week. I still think it's cool. I don't think the novelty is going to wear off, and this thing is definitely a head turner. So it's got all that going for it. So that's it for my review of the 2020 Toyota Camry TRD. I'll watch for the full review soon on Vicarious Magazine or vicariousmag.com. Thanks for watching on the channel. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. If not, no hard feelings. You can also follow me on Twitter at DanTheWheelman and on Instagram at DanTheWheelman as well. And tune in next week for my drive in a Toyota that I used to say was of a very different stripe than this Camry, but now somewhat less so. I'm not going to say any more than that, but until then, sayonara, folks.